criticizing you over your apparel the last time we were
I
on.
appreciate the apology. Apology accepted.
Mm-hmm. Because I thought the last thing that you wore on All the Best Words was ridiculous. And it's like it was a challenge.
Yep.
And you accepted it. And congratulations, Cameron.
Well, and you know, the hoodie,
I hope y'all are watching. I hope you're not. I know some of you just listen.
I'm here for you. I want you to be entertained by my stylistic musings.
That is something else.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
Would
really
you
know
like
why it exists or who made it or how it got in my home. You know, but it's here and it's there for your viewing pleasure.
It looks great.
It does.
It
really pops in these lights.
It really looks good. So, hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode, perhaps the last episode of All the Best Words. We appreciate you watching or listening. If you're not watching, you need to find a platform where you can watch. YouTube's a great one. There are others, Facebook, etc. But you can find all of that, 997wtn.com. If you've missed any old episodes, that's a good resource to utilize to go back and watch some of the old episodes of Super Talk 997 WTN on the YouTube channel. You know how it works. We've got 2 words, about 12 minutes of conversation, and none of that can happen before I say, my name is Matt Murphy, and I say all the best words.
My name's Cameron Smith. I write all the best words.
And this is the opening to All the Best Words.
I know words. I have the best words.
This is All the Best Words with Matt Murphy and Cameron Smith.
Yeah, I'm a little torn as to whether or not to ask the many questions that are in my head right now. And I'm just going to I think I'm just going to ignore it.
It's fair.
I just think I'm going to move on from it because I don't think I'm going to get satisfactory answers about how that came into your life.
Yeah. Look, Matt, we're going to be living in space soon. And so you need to start getting comfortable with a onesie occasionally.
Have you ever noticed those futuristic, like a lot of times they're dystopian, but they don't have to be. Those futuristic movies, like everybody wears the same clothes.
Yeah, and a lot of them wear onesies.
And I don't see that happening anytime soon.
Well, if you're in space,
Not
apparently
that, anyway.
Pants and shirts are too much.
Yeah.
You need to connect them.
A belt.
Yep.
The love. No,
Yep.
no, thank you. All right, so let's get it going. I'm going to give you the opportunity, onesie boy, of going first. What's your word?
Well, it's not onesie boy. The
Might be my word.
my word is CARLSON. Not as in a punter or kicker, but as in Tucker Carlson, formerly of Fox News.
Mm-hmm.
I think we need to take a few minutes to talk about the weird right. This is the part of, I guess, the Republican Party, I guess, MAGA, sort of, but we're isolationists. We don't believe in the rest of the world, and I use those words intentionally.
Mm-hmm.
We think war's bad. Well, I agree with that, but we aren't nuanced on it at all. And then we play these weird gotcha games like Tucker Carlson played with Ted Cruz on, well, do you know the population of Iran?
I would like to thank Tucker, by the way, because now I do.
Yes.
It's 92 million.
And I now know that it's twice the size of Texas.
Uh-huh.
So also,
And there are 12 sects or...
Right. I've learned a great amount about Iran because I, too, can query the internet.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that bothers me here is this kind of gotcha thing that I think part of it is some of these folks, I don't want to say the grifter class because let's be honest, Tucker Carlson did a lot of good work, particularly on Fox News, highlighting things, reporting on things. But since he was dismissed from Fox News, he's struggled to gain traction and footing. And I imagine that's really tough for somebody that had that level where we were talking about him as a potential presidential candidate, single most powerful person on the political right, period. Like I would argue even more at the time powerful than Donald Trump. But since he has not had that platform, he's gone into areas that were weird repeatedly, like the Russian grocery store, kind of being an apologist for Putin. Like even if you think we shouldn't get involved over there, the idea of like, oh, Russia's great was sort of weird.
And taking payments. I mean, taking payments from Qatar.
You know,
they excuse it by saying that they were getting paid for doing interviews or whatever. I don't really understand what their justification is, but there's no question that places like Qatar have paid Tucker Carlson money, and one wonders if that does not create some level of a conflict of interest.
It does, and it's also I don't blame anybody for being a capitalist, but the idea of like you're an independent voice of reason, that rings kind of hollow on a lot of this stuff because why are you in a Russian grocery store? Tell me more about what's going on here. And then particularly in this context with Iran, it's if you watch that interview with Cruz, you're getting almost this sense of he's not supportive of Israel. And I don't think you write Israel a blank check. I don't think that everything Israel does is great, but it's almost a latent hostility here, trying to suggest that, well, Israel's spying on us and you're fine with it. Well, yeah, I mean, our friends spy on us all the time. We know that. And there's nothing a senator or a president can do other than saying, please stop. It's like Jeb Bush saying, please clap.
Yeah, I mean, one of the big takeaways that I got, and I've not seen the entire interview, I've seen clips, but one of the big takeaways, I mean, the gotcha stuff, that's all well and good. Tucker thought that it was very, very funny that Ted Cruz did not know the population of Iran.
Great internet meme now, by the way.
I mean, that's fine. But he seemed to be confused. Well, he seemed to refute the basic idea that Israel, they're the good guys, and that Iran's the bad guys.
Right.
Like he's trying to reset that and say, no, I'm going to re-examine that. Well, I would encourage you to re-examine that and understand that there's only one of the two that would kill you if they had the chance.
Right.
Right. And there's only one of the two whose stated goal is to kill not just America, but to destroy Western culture and Western civilization. And it's not just a matter of their government saying it. The religion that their government follows commands it. And I'm not knocking Muslim people, but recognize that the Iranian government's interpretation of the jihad that they are to commit to against Western culture dictates to them that we convert to their religious practices, subjugate ourselves to it, or we die.
Yeah.
Those are your choices. So it's kind of easy when you've got that on one. And if you want to talk about Israeli influence in American government, if you want to talk about that we're too involved with the Israeli people, but when we're talking about this conflict itself, there is a clear good guy and a clear bad guy to me. And Tucker doesn't seem to recognize that. And I think that comes off sometimes as anti-Semitic.
Yeah, and I think the issue for me is the trend line here, right? So to go and basically try to blur the lines on Russia as the aggressor in the Ukraine war and say, well, really, Russia's pretty great. Like if you think about no, Russia doesn't share our values. Russia is not where we are. Russia is an authoritarian regime. Is it like Iran? Well, no, there's not the same religious tenor, but he was on the wrong side there in terms of the way he was kind of blurring the moral lines. And he's on the wrong side here in the way he's blurring the moral lines. And the folks on the right that keep playing this game, it's going to come back to bite you because it's not a close call. It's to, who's more aligned with where we are. It doesn't mean they're perfectly aligned. It doesn't mean we always get along, but there's some obvious answers here.
Yeah, for me, I just don't understand what the motivation is. I could do what some on the woke right or the weird right do and suggest that it's money motivation. I don't know. I mean, that's what they try to suggest when it comes to our support of Israel, that it's all about AIPAC or whatnot. But outside of that, I don't know what the motivation is necessarily.
Right.
Except just to create a stinky for the purpose of creating a stinky.
Yeah, well, that's where we are. What's your word?
Stinky created. My word is another combo, pain management. Pain management. So as many of you know that listen to my radio show, and perhaps I've mentioned it on All the Best Words, I'm set to have surgery on my shoulder. I'm having shoulder replacement surgery, which seems kind of crazy. They're going to cut my arm off. I convinced my surgeon that that's the way we're going to say it. He didn't like that phraseology.
What are they replacing it with?
Titanium.
Oh, that's cool.
Which is going to be nice. Titanium and plastic.
I was hoping you would say AI, but oh well.
No. So, yeah, I said, well, you're bisecting my arm, and can I call it a bisection? He's like, you can call it anything you want. I was like, you're cutting my arm off. And he goes, yeah, but I'm putting it right back together. So it's kind of,
You should call it a bisectomy.
Well, that's kind of what it is. But what fascinates me, and that's happening, and so I'll be out for a week, and then I'll be, on some pain management drugs. Um, where we are in pain management is quite amazing to me. So I'm having my arm cut off and my shoulder rebuilt, and then my arm put back together. And I had to sign paperwork like I was buying a car
Mm-hmm.
to get 6 days worth of OxyContin.
Mm-hmm.
There are other pain drugs that I have at my disposal, some prescription grade Tylenol, baby aspirin for some reason. But the OxyContin, the rules, and the paperwork that I had to sign are insane. And I'm just fascinated. I don't even have a hot take on it. I'm just fascinated with, like it wasn't that long ago that they were handing this crap out like candy.
Right.
And now they have swung the pendulum so far the other way that after shoulder replacement surgery, I've got 6 days of OxyContin. And all right, so I'm not to leave my house for 2 weeks. The doctor recommended that we are on a strict healing regimen for 6 weeks. Don't ride in cars because it might jostle. I mean, not 6 weeks, 2 weeks. Don't ride in cars because it might jostle it too much, whatever. But if I am still in major pain after 6 days, then I have to go see a pain management specialist that has to go over whether or not my pain merits extending the availability of pain drugs like OxyContin to me.
Mm.
I just find it fascinating, Cameron, that we've swung back. Maybe that's for the best. Maybe that helps people out. I have a good buddy in Birmingham, Alabama, that has major back issues. So much so that he was on, oxy-based drugs to help alleviate some of the pain. And the process that he had to go through was not just time intensive, where he had to visit someone every week and bring his bottle of pills, and they had to count his pills for him. And he said it was also just degrading. He's like, I'm a 55-year-old man, and every week I have to go in with my bottle of pills, and every week they take out the bottle of pills and they dump them in a tray and they count them to make sure that I haven't taken too many of them. And he said, so eventually I just said, to hell with it, and I went to my drug, and I'm not making, he said, I went to my drug dealer, and now I just buy pot. And I smoke a lot of pot to alleviate my pain. So I would suggest that maybe we can go a little too far in terms of our pharmaceutical processes that make it a little more difficult for people who are in legit pain to get pain management.
Yeah, and we've had this discussion on prior episodes about, hey, with children and minors, there's a lot of things that we don't let them do, and the guardrails, on, whether it's gender reassignment stuff or, really anything with a minor, we want to be really careful.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? You're an adult. And so as long as you make what the legal parlance is informed consent,
Mm-hmm.
that that this can create an addiction, that this, you can make a decision. And frankly, I have good physicians with medications because I've broken my back a couple times and have some challenges, and 2 times actually, didn't know it. And so it kind of healed funky and have some other fun stuff. And I have some medication that helps alleviate pain that I can take as needed, because my doctors realize that, like, them telling me this really restrictive regimen on some of this stuff wouldn't work, because when it really hurts, I need the acute medicine then. And I think that we just need to trust adults to be adults. This whole, like, well, the government has to do everything on this stuff. I get it. I when I worked on Capitol Hill, I saw the pill pipelines and all the pain management clinics that were being abused. Shut all that stuff down. I get that, but I'm with you, and I actually will go a step further and say I do criticize it, because instead of informing people about what these medications can do and telling them, hey, with your body and your makeup, it will do this or have this impact, you should be careful about that with your history. We just have these blanket policies that make it difficult on folks, and I don't think it should be demeaning for people with chronic pain. And that's just the bottom line.
If any of the rest of you have had a difficult time, while Cameron makes some great points, taking him seriously because of his onesie, leave maybe a comment or two in the comment section.
And if you're really nice, I'll let you know where you too can get one.
And in the meantime, probably the next time that we talk to you on All the Best Words, I'll have a new shoulder, which is kind of cool. So,
but it won't have AI in it.
And we'll talk about what my tattoo should be on my shoulder scar.
I like that very
I'm
much.
kind of going for that. He's Cameron Smith, and he writes all the best words.
He's Matt Murphy, and he says all the best words.
This has been All the Best Words.